Hi there. Today I have 11 of the tools that you need to get started on your journey to quilting or sewing. My name is Mandy from Sugar Bee, and I am a beginner sewist, quilter, and I began my journey just 3 months ago. And I literally had nothing but the crappy little needle set and thread that come in one of those sewing kits. And I decided I wanted to try my hand at quilting, and so I needed tools to get started. Now, I tried to do it as inexpensively as possible, which was a little bit of a mistake because I didn't get quite the best tools that I needed. But over the course of a month or two, I have acquired what I consider to be must-have tools, and I would love to share that with you. So number one, the most important thing you need, whether you are going to be doing the hand sewing or sewing machine sewing, is a needle. You need a good needle, or many needles. You probably can't see these needles, but these two are my, sorry, I'm trying to just line up. These two are my preferred needles. I didn't keep the packaging. Not 100% sure, but I think these are Milner's or Crewel's. They have a longer eye, and I think these are either 3s or 5s, or 5. They're the longer ones, and that's why I like them, is they're longer, a little bit sturdier, but they're not incredibly thick. And then they have the longer eye, so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Even with my glasses, I have a hard time threading a needle. So these are my favorites. I did a lot of research on needles, and I'm actually going to include a link to the YouTube page that I got my information from. And I also have a fantastic PDF I'm going to give you a link to from John James, who is a needle maker in UK. The best brands of needles are going to be ones from the UK or Japan. Not really sure how they have the lock on needle making, but they do. The ones you want to pay attention to are John James, Richard Hemming, Colonial, and Bohin. I'm not sure how to pronounce that one, but these four are considered the standard and needles. So definitely get those. And these aren't one of the ones on the list, but I discovered pony needles. Now, if you're a quilter, especially hand quilting, pony needles are a great way to start to learn how to keep your stitches neat. So pony needles, I don't know if you will see this in video. If not, then I will put a picture up here so you can see it. But they have these colored bands that go around the needle near the front, and so it helps you know when to start and when to stop your stitch. And these are for running stitches, so you can do many running stitches on one needle length, and it helps for not only accurate and more precise stitching, but faster stitching. So these are Loops and Threads is the brand, but they seem to work great. I've had no problem with this brand whatsoever, and I have size 8 and 10, and then these are 7 through 9. So I prefer, like I said, a longer needle. If you don't know what the numbers mean, watch that video. It'll explain it a lot better than I can. So anyway, that is number one. Number two, I wonder if you can guess what number two will be. Thread. Yes, thread. So if you are going to be doing quilting with cotton material, or doing anything that's going to be insulated or go in the microwave, then you absolutely need 100% cotton thread. Polyester is made out of plastic, so you can imagine what that's going to do if you're sewing things that are going in the microwave, or having hot pans or anything put on top of them. It's going to melt the thread, right? We don't want that. And then for the quilts, once again, since polyester thread is made out of plastic, even a blend, over time that is going to actually rub against your quilt, and we'll start breaking down the fabric, not the thread, but the fabric. So 100% is the way to go. This one is, I believe it's called mercerized. See if I can find it. Yeah, mercerized, which means it just has a little coating on it that helps prevent knots and helps it glide through fabric better. So this one is from Amazon. It's called New Brothread is the brand. Just love that name. But of course there are several brands out there. People swear by specific brands. This one I just got. I haven't done a ton of sewing with it, so I will let you know if this is worth getting. But yeah, 100% cotton thread. Number 2. Number 3 are rulers. You need a good ruler. There are so many sizes out there depending on what you're doing. If you're doing quilting, a good square ruler will help you square off your pieces. So I got this set on Amazon that has a multitude of sizes for your squares. So it goes all the way. I have these sizes, which looks like it's an 8 by 8 and a 10 by 10, and then the big daddy, the 12 by 12. Now using these as just plain rulers are really hard for me, so I feel like the biggest bonus to these, or what they're really made for, is for squaring out your quilt squares. So when you're all done with your piecing and you have your final size that you want your square to be, then you can just pop this over the top of it and square it out. For actual measuring, then I find the regular rectangular rulers to be the best or easiest for me. And this one's 3 by 8. So I do a lot of 3 by 3 squares. So this one's good for measuring those out. But one of the coolest ones I've recently discovered is a hot ruler. Not really sure what these are made out of. They feel they're fuzzy, maybe, I don't know, wool or felt or something. But what you do is you find your measurement you want along the bottom and you fold your fabric over it, and then you iron right over this. And so it creates that crease. So you have this perfect 1/4 inch crease, or 3/4 or 1/2 or whatever it is you want. So it makes it a lot easier to sew it without having to pin it, or even just to create that base line. So these are really cool. But the coolest ruler I found, and this actually came with this kind of kit I bought from eBay when I first started, was this little, it's called Add a Quarter, and it's only a 6-inch ruler, actually I think 5 inches, but it has this, it's kind of hard to see, but it has this ledge right here. And so you can put it right up to the edge of your fabric and draw your line, and you get this perfect 1/4 inch seam allowance. So this is really cool. I have this linked in I have all of this stuff linked in my description if you want to go and check those items out. All right, number 4 is a rotary cutter. So my first little kit I got that I told you about came with this rotary cutter. I don't even know what brand it was, and I struggled with that thing. I could not get it to cut a straight line, and it was really weird the way you had to like press it down to get the blade to activate, and it was just super bizarre. And so I struggle. It was like, rotary cutters aren't the way for me, but I've never been able to cut a straight line with a pair of scissors, ever. I'm terrible with them. So it's like I had to master these. Well, the one that I saw everywhere was Fiskars brand. So I went out, or I didn't go anywhere, went to Amazon, and I ordered this, and huge difference. This sucker is awesome. You don't have to do anything to get the blade to function. You just pop the little protector thing down or up when you're done with it, and it's super easy to change the blades. And I absolutely love this. In Fiskars, this comes in 3 different sizes. So this is the medium size, the most common, 45 millimeter. But then there's the big one, which I'll be getting pretty soon, I think. That one's for if you're doing really long cuts. It's better to have a longer blade. And then there's a smaller one that's good for the really tiny, precise cuts, like especially going around corners and stuff like that. So I highly recommend the Fiskars brand. And then the rotary blades, you want to have a lot of these on backup. You will burn through your blades very quickly, especially if you're going through batting and thicker materials or large sandwiches of fabric. So this is it says Japanese steel, but it comes in, these are the ones I have linked, and these ones are actually titanium coated. So I have a little bit of oil on them to keep them from rusting, I'm guessing. Anyway, so they have this gold color on them, and these are supposed to last longer and be sharper. So yeah, and they're super cheap to just have a backup of blades, and I highly recommend always having them because you'll notice real quick, and it seems to happen really fast, at least to me, when your blade is not sharp. So yeah, this is part of your number 4 for rotary cutters are the blades. So now if you absolutely don't want to deal with a rotary cutter and you're a scissors person, then you can get scissors, but just get a good pair. And I discovered, I didn't realize that the scissors I were using were just okay until I switched to the Gucci of scissors. These things are amazing. It's called Guggenhein. I saw these somewhere, some video I watched, and these suckers, these are called the super scissors, and these things are a beast. And it's like almost like cutting through butter or cutting through air. Like you barely feel the fabric, and they want to just go. So for me, if you're really good with using scissors to cut a straight line, then these will probably make your world so much easier. But for me, they're almost like so good and so powerful that they want to just take off, and so I have an even harder time like controlling them, which doesn't sound like a good thing, but that's a me issue. But these scissors are amazing. I do have them linked for Amazon. You can buy them on Amazon, but I will tell you that they run so many promotions themselves on their own website that it's a way better deal. I think I was just on there yesterday, and they have 40% off one pair, and you get another pair for free. I don't know if you can get the same pair for free, but maybe. But these are called the Precision 2. This is, I don't know if it's the same deal I got mine on, but these ones I did get for free. And these are just their little mini scissors, and they're fantastic. And they have snips, they have tailor scissors, they have all kinds of varieties, but I highly recommend Guggenhein. And they're not paying me to say this either, so these are fantastic scissors. So if you'd rather have scissors, I mean, having scissors, even if you use a rotary cutter, is great for trimming up your projects and other things. So it's always good to have a good pair of fabric scissors too. And my kids and husband know that it is a penalty of death if they use these scissors. So we have so many scissors around the house, don't touch those ones. Number 5 is a good cutting mat. Now, unfortunately, we just moved here to Hawaii, and we have yet to receive, and when I say just, I mean it's been about 34 days or so. Sorry, I was looking at the calendar behind the camera there. And we still haven't received our shipment of our home goods. So I do not have my big beautiful cutting mat, but this is the one I have. And it's fantastic. I absolutely love it. It's two-sided, 2 different colors, 2 different types of measurements depending on what you're looking for. And it's huge. Actually, this table that I'm sitting at right now is the only work table I have here right now, and it's actually a drafting table, but it's almost the exact same size as my cutting mat. I'm hoping that it's slightly bigger, because the table I was using before was actually smaller, so my cutting mat didn't quite fit on it, but I'm very excited because it's big. It's 36 by 24 inches, so it's really big. But my little intro kit I was telling you about that I got on eBay with the crappy rotary cutter, it also came with this teeny tiny rotary mat, and it has served me while I have been here. But if you cut anything bigger than this mat, it is so annoying and so painful to deal with. And I don't know if you can see these white lines through here, but these are grooves that I've worn into this mat, and I think they're full of batting. And I've tried and tried to wash it out, to do all the tricks to cleaning a mat, and I have been unsuccessful. So, but I might just flip it over and use the side if I have to. So anyway, the two best brands that I have seen for cutting mats are Olfa, which is what this is, and Fiskars, once again, same one who makes the cutters. Now, I will tell you right now, if I had to start over, just get like the most important thing, the cutting mat, the ruler, and the rotary cutter. There is a link I posted in here, and it has the Fiskars mat that's foldable, so you can take it around with you easier. Mine does not fold. It's this big, huge, like solid mat. It does not move well. And they're good. They're big cutter, and then it has what I consider the best size ruler, which is a 6 by 24 inch. And so that one I have linked in, like I said, and that is what I would have started with if I would have known. And it's a great price for what you're getting, the quality of what you're getting. So if you are just starting out, that is the set I would recommend. So anyway, next up on the list is pins. So whether you are doing hand sewing or machine sewing, you need pins. You need to hold your fabric together. You need it to mark where to start or stop. I mean, there's a million things that you can do with it. So, and once again, this came with my little kit. These are little flathead. They look like little flowers or sunbursts or something. They're really long and thin and flexible, and they work great. I absolutely love them. I haven't even replaced them, even though I think I replaced almost everything in that little intro kit. But these are great. And once again, there's so many you can get. There's some with butterflies. There's some I have coming that have glass heads on them, so that you can actually iron with them, and you don't have to worry about damaging the plastic. So, and they're a little bit smaller. So, but with these, you need a pin cushion. My daughter actually made this in home ec a couple years ago. She thought it was so ugly, but she showed it to me anyway, and I was like, I want that. And that was before I even really needed it, but I just thought it was so cute, and it was something she made, and so I used this. But I will tell you, I am terrible with losing my needles. I just set them down wherever. So I got a magnetic pin holder, and these are super cool because the magnet in here is ridiculously strong, and well, one of them bounced off, but I just threw those in there and they stuck right in. And the other cool thing is if you have these all spread out everywhere, maybe you're crazy with your removing while you're sewing, you can just suck them up and use that to clean up your space. So absolutely love this, and I try and keep this right in front of me, especially when I'm doing hand sewing, and I can just set my needle on there and I know where it is. All right, number 8 is what we call binding clips or magic clips. These guys are so cool. They're just these little tiny clips with this curve on the bottom, and they're specifically made for binding a quilt, because you have the binding, if you don't know anything about quilting, it's just a roll of fabric that's going over the edge of your quilt that you need to keep held on there while you're sewing it on, and sometimes that binding is just ridiculously long, and so these work great for keeping your binding in place. But you can use these for literally anything in your sewing. Actually right now we are using them as chip clips because now you need like 3 or 4 of these bad boys for a bag of chips because they're not that big, but yeah, they work great for anything that you need some clipping. They're really strong. They're just really little. The other cool thing about them is because the hinge is metal, you can use your magnetic thing to hold these as well. All right, number 9. Now this, I don't know that I would say is a must-have, but it's pretty cool, and it has saved me so many hours of de-knotting my thread. so especially with hand sewing. So this is called Thread Magic. And this stuff is really cool. It's pretty simple. It's pretty much just wax inside this, but it has all these grooves right here. So you can just take, here, I'll actually demonstrate it for you. Let's take a piece of thread off of here. Let's use my rotary cutter to cut it. Okay, so you just take it, put it over, and get it into 2 grooves going on both sides, right? And you obviously want to start, you want to start at the end of it, as far to the end as you can. So it's just a little tail hanging off here, okay? And you cram it down in there, put the cap back on, and you just pull the little tail, and I like to pull it down to make sure it's going through. And your thread is conditioned. Now it has this light coating of wax. You can feel it on there. I've taken it through it twice. Sometimes instead of pulling it all the way out, when it gets to the little tail at the other end, I'll pull it again, because I've had a hell of a time with knotting. So this is supposed to help prevent your thread from getting tangled up and knotted while you're doing the hand sewing. So sewing machine sewing, obviously you can't run this through your entire spool, both spools of thread. So this is mostly for hand sewing if you're going to be doing that. But it's awesome. I would highly recommend it. Number 10 these are called heat erasable fabric markers. Now, I actually have a black one, but it's downstairs with my sewing machine, but they come in, these particular ones come with 8, it's 2 sets of the 4 colors. And it also comes with a packet of refills. So these run out fairly fast if you're using them a lot. So it's great just to be able to unscrew this, pop the refill in, screw it back on. And the really awesome things, just like it says, you put it on your fabric, you iron your fabric, and poof, the marks are gone. So it's fantastic. Now I have heard from other sources that the marks, I don't know if it's this brand particularly or just this type of pen, but that the marks will reappear once the fabric has cooled down. I have used these so many times on so many projects, and not once have I seen the lines reappear. So I'm not really sure what that is, but these are fantastic. And once again, I have these linked as well. I highly, highly, highly recommend these. All right, our last 2 items I've put in the same category is an iron and a wool ironing mat. Now, the iron that I have that I'm going to show you is from the Quilting Bear, and this is just a mini iron, okay? It actually works really good for setting your seams. So when you're done sewing, no matter how big or large the seam is, you want to get some heat on it. You just, lay it on there along the seam you just sewed, and it sets the thread in there, kind of tightens it all up. And it's critical to do that. And this is fantastic for that because it's so little. It's right here on my table, and it works really well. It does have a steam option. So you just fill it up in here. It comes with this little tiny cup. And but you just turn it on or turn it off. You don't get to really control when the steam comes out. Some irons have that burst of steam or whatnot, or spray function. This doesn't do that. And it just has these 4 little holes right here for the steam. So I would not recommend this iron for heavy ironing, especially if you're trying to get creases out of your fabric, especially the ones that have been folded for months or years or what have you. This is not going to do the job. Believe me, I've tried. So this is great just to have at your workstation to set your seams while you're sewing, or you can iron out small little scraps. So it does work well for that. So I have my little squares cut, and it does work great for that, but no high pressure job for this little guy. And then the ironing mat, it's a wool ironing mat. this I would highly recommend, and there's many brands you can get. This one works fantastic, absolutely love it. This one I think is, you can get in 2 different sizes of thickness. I'm not sure which one this is. It looks like it's about maybe ½ an inch. I'm not sure. You would think I know with if it's quart. Here, let me tell you. I have so many measuring devices right here. Use the right side. It looks like, yep, ½ an inch. See, I eyeballed it right. About ½ an inch. So this works great. I have seen some people who have 2 of these stacked on top of each other. My guess would be to either they like the height of it, or it's just to make sure that the moisture from the steaming doesn't get down to their table and make it wet. But these are fantastic. They're portable. Once again, get these in many sizes. This size I really liked because I can just keep it on my desk next to me when I get my desk. So I can just go right to it, iron out my seams and move on, and I don't have to get up, go to a cutting or a ironing board and deal with that whole shenanigan. So anyway, that is the end of my list of tools. This one, at least I can tell you right now, going through this and trying to create this, I knew for sure there was going to be a part 2. So stay tuned for that. And please, if there's something else that you think is a must-have tool that I haven't mentioned for beginners, please let me know in the comments. And I very much appreciate you guys subscribing and following me through this journey of mine. And I look forward to talking to you again. Bye-bye.
Sugar Bee, like and subscribe!